So let's talk about how we should ideally be charging. And as always, guys, if you are live on YouTube, now if you're watching this in any of the shows on the Facebook, don't worry about it. You can always come to YouTube, youtube.com/Savvy Groomer, SAVVY Groomer. And you're actually going to be able to hop on and chat with me live. So really quickly, we've been talking a lot about price recently, and I think it's just because it's so relevant right now. It really is something that basically everyone is realizing they have to go up in prices. Good example I have for you guys is you guys have always heard me talk about inflation. So if you're not sure what inflation is a general increase in prices and fall in purchase value of money. So basically, the money your grandparents had now is worth less, right? So your grandparents bought a house and now it's worth more. And actually, to put this in perspective, for those of you guys that, want a good example of what inflation is, the average cost of a home in 1965 was $21,500. That would now cost, in today's money, $340,000. That's a huge jump. There's a Dick Van Dyke show. It's from about 1965-ish. And what it's actually doing is it talks about, they bring in a poodcock, a poodle, cocker spaniel mix, but this dog is obviously a doodle. I mean, it looks like a labradoodle or maybe a golden doodle. They bring the dog in. They say it's going to be $75. Well, okay, $75 for a doodle today is basically average. But I want you guys to see, just from inflation, how much money that would be. So let's look at how much $75 in 1965 would be worth today. As of today, $75 from 1965 would be worth $630.66. I mean, that's just completely bananas, guys. I mean, think about anything that you guys have that it's going to be, hey, Christy, great to see you live, girl. So just think about that. $600. We have trouble. I see so many people, I'll say like, oh, charge $200, charge $300, charge $400 for a doodle. And they're like, I can't do that. Well, just from inflation, that dog would have been that price. Let's think about another price point. Let's look at 1980s $20 Shih Tzu. How much would that be worth today? If you are charging $20 in 1980 just to keep up with inflation, that dog would need to be around $65. Some of you guys are like, yeah, okay, that's about right. I'm charging $65. But don't forget, that groomer in the 1980s has also added in more skill sets. They're a better groomer now than they've ever been. They're probably nationally certified, or they have 40 years of experience. We actually had another live person last week, and they had been grooming 40 years. And they had been charging $45 in 1980. And she got a big wake-up call, and I felt really bad. In 1980, charging $45, she should now be charging $145. That's insane. And I said, well, Mindy, how much are you charging then? And she said, well, I'm charging $85. Wow. So she's not only a nationally certified master groomer, not only does she have 40 years experience, she's not even keeping up with inflation. I mean, that's a wake-up call for us as an industry. Before we really get down into what these prices should be charged the way they could be charged, I think the most important thing for us is, as an industry, to recognize that no matter what it is, the prices have to go up across the board. We can't compare ourselves to Petco and PetSmart. We have to accept the fact that we need more money. How should I charge? And that would be, and I gave some quick examples. Should that be by breed? Should that be hourly? Should that be by a point system, which you guys often hear me talk about? How exactly should I be charging? And let's go ahead and talk about different ways that people charge. Well, first of all, ultimately, you need to know what your business model is. If you are high volume, you're probably going to charge per breed, or you're going to charge per weight. And the reason why is because that is simplification. For instance, if I am Petco PetSmart, I don't want my staff to spend a lot of time checking in and out of dog. I don't want them trying to figure out the scope of work. I don't want to invest in a staff that is going to, how how do I put this politely? You know, like when I go and I get my car checked out, they're going to do an estimate and then they're going to give me that estimate. But they don't really want that. They kind of want to go, this is just the flat rate and this is what it is. That doesn't really help quality, right? Because there's going to be some groomers who are like, I'm only getting this amount of money. I'm not going to do the right job. I don't want to call it even a good job. They're just not going to do the full job. It also makes the customer have the decisions for a lot of things. Like if I'm a groomer and I say your dog needs a D-shed, your dog needs a D-shed. I'm the professional. And taking that out of my hands and putting it into the hands of a lay person who, you know, that's just bad for everyone. That said, just like Walmart, they're not going to be highly customer service oriented. Does that mean Petco PetSmart isn't customer service oriented? Not necessarily, but they're not going to, it's not their number one priority. Where what sets us apart, for the most part in this industry, is that we give a better quality groom. We care more about the dog. Not that the people at Petco PetSmart don't care about the dog, but we're going to invest our time educating ourselves. We're going to spend the time really doing all of that. In corporate, they really just can't. It's not that they wouldn't if they could, they just can't. And that's because they're a volume-based business. So if you are also a volume-based business, you're probably going to charge per breed or per weight. Why? Because it all works out in the end. You know, for instance, let's say if I charge $40 for a Chihuahua bath. Now, there's going to be some Chihuahuas that are 4 pounds. There's going to be some that are 30 pounds. Should there be a 30-pound Chihuahua? Absolutely not. But we all know they're out there. And so they're like, well, we're going to be making money on the 4-pound Chihuahuas, and we're going to be losing money on the 30. But ultimately, it all works out in the end because they're doing so many. They're doing so many that ultimately it works out in the end. That works out really well for high volume. What it doesn't work out for is boutique-y, or I hate to say quality grooming because that's not fair, you know, but us more that do more one-on-one, that do more boutique-y type grooming. So from there, I want you to go, okay, if that's the case, then how should I charge? Well, again, it depends. When you are charging hourly, the problem with charging hourly is, I had this great conversation actually in a Canadian groomer group. There was a very wise business owner, and she had mentioned that, you know, she prices her hourly based on her weakest groomer. And that's what we need to do if we're going to be charging hourly. Because as we're training more staff, because right now we have a giant grooming shortage. We have so many groomers that we need to train. So it's either you guys are going to have to train them, we're going to have to take raw baby groomers, which I found out people hate. I actually love. When I think of a baby groomer, I think of someone who's been grooming under 2 years who is just like panicking. And that's exactly what I think of somebody. Like they're just constantly like, I don't know what I did. This looks like crap. Someone please save me. And the second they kind of like got it, they're not a baby groomer. You know, you might have a baby groomer who needs your help finishing them. And that's something you've got to consider. So a baby groomer, if you're charging hourly, right? And let's say you can get a Shih Tzu done in an hour. Most groomers can get a Shih Tzu, 5-strip, round teddy bear face, done in about 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes, right? Well, a baby groomer is going to take 2 hours. Part of that is their insecurity, and part of that is they just don't know how to make themselves go faster. They don't have the muscle memory. And so because of that, I want you guys to remember that when you're hiring people and you're charging hourly, you're probably going to lose some money. Because if you take a groomer who is either a power groomer or a groomer who is fast, and then you hire somebody who's not as fast as you or your staff member, well, that's going to become a problem. Because now you're going to set that person up for failure. And that's not really fair, is it? So for you guys that are going to do actual hourly, I really want you to consider the fact of what your business goals are. Now, if you are 100% solopreneur, you have no interest in hiring anyone else, you have no interest in training somebody else, it's just you and the dogs or you and the cats, hourly is a great option. Lynn Pillow did this great video all about how we really need to not tell a customer we're charging hourly. I think it creates so much confusion. And the really short version of what she said, and she put it perfectly, is we need to tell them it's the scope of work, not hourly. You know, you've got to remember their past experiences. They may have gone to a groomer where the dog got dropped off at 9 a.m. and didn't get picked up until 5. They may have gone to a groomer and the dog was there for 4 hours. They have literally no idea how long any of this takes. So telling them you charge hourly is really unfair because it's going to make them panic. And it's going to make them want to rush you, because that's also why I don't hire anybody hourly to do a project. So if I have when I get my car done, they're charging me hourly, but I got an estimate and I know what the estimate is. I don't want them to say, well, it's hourly, it's $60 an hour. Because I'd be like, okay, well, how many hours is it going to take? I don't know anything about cars. I don't want to know anything about cars. Just tell me how much-ish it's going to cost. And then if they go, well, if your muffler has issues, well, if it's this, well, if it's that. I don't want to hear that. I want you to look over my car and tell me what I'm going to need. So I really hate when people say they're going to charge hourly and they communicate that to the client. That's really not fair. The client really can't figure that out. And it sets them up for failure. And it sets your employees up for failure. Because if you tell them, well, I charge hourly, it's really difficult for an employee, a groomer, to figure that out. Because again, if I have Power Groomer who can groom 15 dogs without a bather, and then you have me who is kind of a lazy groomer, it's so funny. People are like, oh, are you going to You're like, no. I could do 5 Shih Tzus a day and I'm happy. That's just perfect for me. I'm a bad investment as an employee. I'm okay with that. So, for that person's doing 3 times the amount of dogs I would. So when you charge hourly, are we basing it on my money and how many dogs I can do, or them? And then that's the tough. And maybe say, oh, well, it's somewhere in the middle. Okay, well, then what happens is and this is where we get into pay, which we don't have to go down this rabbit hole, guys. But you'll be like, oh, well, I pay X percent. Let's say, I hate it, 50%. Well, this person's doing 15 dogs. You're like, yeah, but they make more money. Like, yeah, but if you're charging hourly, then that customer's getting screwed again, isn't it? If she can really do a dog, that is in 8 hours, it's a 45 minute for every dog. Are they getting the same service? And you're also encouraging with commission people to rush through dogs. But that's a whole nother conversation. Hourly really must be taken into consideration, but it shouldn't be so black and white. Same thing with breed, right? Because we can have Huskies that are 45 pounds or, Huskies that are almost 200 pounds. Should I charge by breed? No. How about weight? Well, I can have a standard poodle. My standard poodle is 45 pounds and she's as big as a lab. Okay, I have a 45-pound standard poodle. Well, she's not a small dog. She's a small standard poodle, but she's still going to take as long as a standard poodle who might be 10 or 15 pounds more than her, even 20 pounds more than her, because she's as tall as a lab. She still has that much surface area. So this is where I actually teach points. Basically what points are is they take into consideration hours, breeds, etc., and creates a point system. And it really easily supports the way you pay people because every groomer is different. That groomer who does 15 dogs, she can do more points. And that groomer who does 5, she can do less points. And then based on how many points they can do, they get more money per hour. So it all works out in the end. And then you don't have to worry about how many hours that dog took because that dog is done based on points. A good example would be that same Shih Tzu who is a 5-strip, a round teddy bear face, alternatively a ½ inch on the body for those of you guys that hate 5 blades. When I looked at those, I would go, okay, if I have that Shih Tzu, how long is that going to take a groomer? Start to finish. On the low end, I would say it would take 45 minutes minimum. Minimum, grooming the dog, bath, blow dry, nails, ears, 45 minutes. And that is that super fast groomer. And on the high end, about an hour and 15. Anything more than that, anything more than about an hour and 15 minutes, there's another reason, whether it's a more technical haircut, the dog is aggressive, etc. Now, with a baby groomer, obviously, our goal would be for them to do more dogs and to build to that. But if they're grooming full-time and consistently, if they can't do a very basic Shih Tzu haircut in less than an hour and a half after about 6 months or a year, they're probably never getting faster. They're just probably never getting faster. And then you have to decide if that's even somebody you want to keep. Or you have to keep them at a lower price point. But 9 times out of 10, you're talking for now we're not talking full scissor legs. We're not talking top knots. We're talking very basic dog. That is a 2-point dog. It is 1 point for the bath and blow dry, nails, ears, and 1 point for the haircut. So if they have a bather, the bather gets a point. If they don't have a bather, the groomer gets 2 points. Really nice and easy. If I'm a 5 Shih Tzu without a bather person, I would be a 10-point groomer. And then I could figure out, okay, well, if I'm a 10-point groomer, then what is it that means? That means that I can either do 10 Shih Tzus haircuts without baths, right? Or I can do 5 with me doing the bath. So 10, 1 point, so it would just be haircuts. And that's about right. I could probably do a haircut within, probably 30 to 45 minutes if I didn't have to prep the dog, if I didn't have to do nails and ears, if all I was doing a haircut. Absolutely. That's about right. So why does that help versus doing hourly, doing breeds, doing all of that? To me, the reason I really love this point system is it allows you to be really flexible and it makes you really pay attention to how many points a dog is. Because I'll see crazy things, like I'll see a Shih Tzu at 65, 75, and then their doodles are like 110. It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, okay, well, if a Shih Tzu is 2 points, a doodle is easily 4 to 6 points. So if that Shih Tzu, for easy math, is $50, then that doodle would need to be 100 to 150 plus, and this is where we're going to go over this in the masterclass, plus are you adding in chiropractic care, massages, and the fact that your groomer is going to get burnt out faster. Big dogs have more liability. We talked about all about this. Are big dogs profitable? So this is where I want you guys to really consider if what you are doing makes sense. Now, like I said, I use a point system to figure all that out. I teach my clients point systems. Why? Because it's really easy for their employees to figure it out. It's really easy for them to book things out. And it also makes them count. Because if I'm a 10-point groomer and they hand me a Shih Tzu who's a psychopath and he's 4 points, right? Then are they charging him double? Probably not. They're only charging like a $20 matted fee or a $20 special care fee because he's crazy. But if he takes me 4 points of energy, he needs to be double or he needs to be asked to leave, right? And that really forces us to look at our pricing and look at what we're doing to our employees. And then on contrast, what we're doing to ourselves. Because a lot of times we're booking ourselves way too many dogs. And it's not even like we're making more money. It'll be so interesting. Someone will be like, I just got to groom more dogs. I have to do more of this. I have to do more of that. I'm like, tell me why. They said, well, I don't know when I'm going to have to stop grooming. I don't know when this is going to happen. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm like, okay, well, how much do you have to save for retirement? Oh, I don't have anything for save for retirement. Okay, how much do you have in savings? I don't personally have anything in savings, but the business does. Like, okay, so you're killing yourself and burning yourself out and you have nothing to show for it. And this is where, guys, it's not just gaining more money. It's understanding how you price, why you're pricing, and then making sure it fits not just you, but your business and your business's future goals. Charging enough money that you are okay financially is a great option, but we need to do better than that. We need to do more than that. We need to have long-term financial success. It's going to be so important for us long-term. As an industry, we have spent way too much time trying to pacify owners. We have not even kept with inflation as an industry. We have not taken price points seriously. We have not taken employment, legal employment seriously. I think it's incredibly unfortunate that that has been the way things have gone. Now, I am stepping up. I want to see other people step up and say no more. No more. I don't want to work at a place that charges the same for a 40-pound lab mix as they do a 120-pound fat D-shed that refuses to pay for it. I don't want to work there. You don't want to work there either. And you certainly don't want to own that shop. But a lot of you guys are too scared to say to the 120-pound lab, hey, your dog is like 3 times the size. He's molting. It's going to be this much. Or it's going to be this much to this much. And because we have been afraid to stand up and step up, it just hurts the whole industry. And it's not like it's your job to help the whole industry. It's my job. No worries. I'll take it on. It's not your job. Your job is to help you. Your job is to help you, your family, your future. I want to help you guys do that. It's really important to me to support you guys in that transition, because all the time I see people say, oh, they're not going to pay that. And you're right. There's lots of people who won't pay your prices, but who cares? If I had 200 people coming to me every month and I was charging them $50, here's the thing. If I lost half of my clientele, if I went from 200 people a month to 100 people a month, and I jumped from $50 to $100, I'm making the same money. I'm making the same money. I'm working half as much. So then either I can just take that extra time off. I could literally work 2 weeks a month instead of 4. And guess what else? Then I leave lots of room for new clients. And every new client I get after that, I'm going to increase what I made before. Or, like some people, you could just take a week off. You can do whatever you want. And that's the beautiful thing. You can charge any way you want. I do wish you guys would stop with the cookie cutter pricing. I do wish you guys would stop messaging on Facebook groups and asking how much to charge for things, because it doesn't help. It doesn't help any of us. Because what happens is you guys see like 5 people charging $85 for a doodle, and you go, okay, that must be how much I should charge for a doodle. But you don't know anything about those people. You know anything about their skill set. You don't know where the hell they are. You don't know what kind of business they have. You don't know if they groom 15 dogs a day or 4. You have no idea. And the same thing with me telling you how you should charge. You know, by hourly, by breed, by points. I don't know your specific business. And that's why I love one-on-one coaching. That's why I love this masterclass. You know, we are working on a group mentorship program. We're going to be able to do this in a group more. Where, hey, we can look at your business. Let's pull it open. Let's explore it. And then figure out that stuff. That's going to be the change that you need. There is no magic formula. I wish there was. You know, I wish there was a yes, charge by, Shih Tzus. Yes, charge by hourly. Yes, charge by points. But it really depends on you and what you want in your business. If you want to own a super, super high volume shop, and some of you guys do, and there's nothing wrong with that, it's not my favorite business model. You know, these people that want, 8, 9 groomers and they want 4 bathers, that's not my favorite kind of shop. And I had what I considered a high volume shop, which was 5 people and 40 dogs. But, 9 groomers, 4 bathers, I was literally talking over 100 dogs a day. I don't love that kind of shop. And I'll tell you why I don't love that kind of shop. Because who's checking in and out all those dogs? It's just so much chaos. I wouldn't want to work there, and I wouldn't want my pet to go there. That said, it's not bad. It's just not what I want. Even if you have 4 or 5 groomers, it gets really crazy busy. And I was pointing this out to one of my coaching clients recently, where they were saying, we're not high volume. We don't want to be high volume. And I said, okay, but you want 4 full-time groomers and then 2 full-time bathers doing bath dogs. So if each groomer is going to do 8 to 10 groom dogs, that's 40 dogs right there. And then 10 bath dogs each, that's 60 dogs a day. That's high volume. That's high volume. And they're like, okay, well, what about just 7? I'm like, it's still 40, 50 dogs in one shop a day. Who's going to check that dog in? At 50 dogs in 8 hours, how many minutes is that? Let's do that math really quick. If I am doing, in my shop, 40 dogs a day, so let's do 8 times 60 minutes, and we're going to divide that by 40. That is 12 minutes per dog for check-in and out. So if I have, and the same token, let's use 60. We're going to do 8 hours times 60 minutes, and we're going to divide that by 60 dogs. That is 8 minutes of check-in and out time a dog. That's high volume because you can't make a good connection with a new client. That's 4 minutes. 4 minutes to check in and 4 minutes to check out. You are literally here, same thing as last time, yeah, and then they go. That's high volume. And so that person needs to charge differently than somebody who is going to take 15, 20 minutes for every client, a consultation. That's what I want you guys to think. So there's no answer. The answer is, it's up to you. I know it sucks, right? You're like, oh, River, this is like the worst. No problem. It's fine. You'll forgive me. On the flip side, you need to make sure it actually makes sense for whatever business plan you choose to do, because everything changes. So today was all about how should I charge hourly, points, or breeds. I know I always talk about don't do Facebook groups, blah, blah, blah. No, I think you should always be in Facebook groups. Don't misunderstand. I just don't want you to ask how much to charge in Facebook groups because it's really difficult. Now, if you are going to, I highly suggest you do that in a Facebook group run by a business consultant. So if you'd like to join me in my free Facebook group that is Savvy Pet Professionals, you're more than welcome to come there. We talk about personal finance, business, lifestyle, and we stream live every week right from Facebook into there. So it's really convenient if you want to watch there. It's not a bad gig. And I really like the group. We have a lot of fun. I can't complain at all. Now, if you are interested in actually learning how to do a full price evaluation, we're going to audit your prices. We're going to audit how much you want to make. We're going to figure out how to make you that much money and how to actually implement those prices. And like I said, there's going to be different strategies. If you're the kind of person that wants to rip the Band-Aid off and just do a giant price increase, we can do that. We can figure that out for you. If you want to do the slow, every 6 months slowly go up, you can absolutely do that as well. And some people are like, you know what, I'm going to wait till September or I'm going to wait till January to do this price increase. But I want to have all my ducks in a row and have everything ready for that. No matter what, this class is for you. So go ahead and check us out. It's at savvygroomer.com/price increase. Now, as of today and up until May 16th, there is an additional bonus of 1 coaching hour included, which is really nice. So if you sign up today or before May 16th, you will get 1 free coaching hour included. What's awesome about that, guys, is that that's a $400 value. So you're basically getting the price increase class for only $200 and paying, and getting an hour of coaching. And that 1 hour of coaching is going to be great. If you have specific questions, you can do that. The other thing people don't realize either about this class is it's going to be on Zoom, but we're going to stream it in a private Facebook group. And what we have are called spotlight questions. So we're going to be running from about 7 p.m. on Sundays till about 7:38, depending upon the content we have that week. And then after that, we're going to have time for what we call spotlight questions, which are you have about 10 minutes to ask your question and have us answer it. And so it's basically like getting one-on-one coaching in a very micro form. But it's awesome because if you're like, hey, I'm mobile and I'm my only groomer, should I do hourly? And then we can take 5 minutes figuring that out and then 10 minutes on how to actually implement that in the lesson. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I'm really actually very, very excited. And as always, my name is River Lee, founder of the Savvy Groomer, and I hope you have a great week. And as always, happy grooming.